Welcome, everybody, to The Deconversionists. I am your host, Alan Bondar, a.k.a. The Unraveler. My co-host, Elliott, will be with us shortly. We had last-minute trouble getting him into the studio. We've never had this issue. Of course, tonight, first night on Skeptic Haven, we have this issue. No biggie. He will be joining us soon. But tonight, we are very excited, like I said, to be debuting on Skeptic Haven. We're thrilled about having this opportunity to have open room with whoever wants to pop in and have a conversation with us. We are hoping that we have some theists that want to come in and talk to us about their belief in God, because we would like to understand why you believe God exists. Because if one does, well, we want to know it, and we want to know how we can know it. Because just telling us that we should believe isn't really that helpful. Because just believe, I mean, I could tell you, just believe the Great Goering exists. That's not really that helpful. There has to be a good reason why you should believe the Great Goering exists. I would have to provide you some sort of evidence, something you can test and verify that this Great Goering exists so that you can believe in it. So that's kind of all we're asking for. We can't prove your God doesn't exist, but it's not helpful to tell us that it's our responsibility to prove that a God you're claiming exists doesn't exist. We have no way to tell you that a God doesn't exist if you're not going to give us any reason to not believe a God exists. It has to be something called unfalsifiable. There has to be grounds for it. So that's what we're asking for. So if you're going to come into the room as a theist, we want two things from you. We want you to tell us which God you believe in, just so we can have a basic starting point, and why. And the answer to why can't be, well, you prove he doesn't exist. That's not helpful. No, you have to actually tell us the reasons you have for his existence. And you can't also tell us the impossibility of the contrary. You can't say there's no other possibility, because the reality is, and we're just going to say this up front, there are a million possibilities that we might not even know of. We know nothing prior to Planck time. We don't know how this universe started. You can take a guess and say it's God, but you don't know that for sure. So we know nothing about what happened prior to Planck time. There are a million possibilities. So just saying the impossibility of the contrary is also not a good answer. You have to give us positive, actual reasons for your belief in the existence of God, and then we will have a great dialogue. That's what we're looking forward to. If you're an atheist, also, you are welcome to come on and join us. And if you're in one of these categories where you're like, I don't like being called a theist or an atheist, you're welcome to come on too. We'll probably try to persuade you that you're either an atheist or a theist, because you're either A or non-A. There's no real other options there. But that's all right. We still welcome you, and we'll have a great time. But welcome to the show. We're glad that you guys are here. And like I said, I do hope my co-host, Elliott, will join me soon. Hopefully he's getting his issues worked out. Not sure what happens. But yes, the show is a lot more fun with a partner. However, the good news is we already have somebody that has jumped into the studio. But looky here, Elliott just popped in, so I'm going to introduce him first. Elliott, man, you made it.
Greetings.
I just did the whole show without you, man.
That's fine. I clearly wasn't ready for it anyway, right?
Clearly. Well, no, you were. Like, so Elliott's got this whole new setup, right? And of course, whenever you introduce new technology, you always run into issues. And so that's all right. We'll get that worked out for next week.
Hey, you know what? Everything worked fine, worked perfectly, except for the microphone, or except for the speaker. I got in with the audio, the webcam worked, everything turned on, and I could not hear you. So, But here we are. I had to use a different method. I had to go to YouTube, like everybody else can do right now, and I had to join the conversation just like anyone else can.
Yep. You know, Elliott, wouldn't it be nice if you had an excuse?
Well, I did have some excuses, but I know where you're going with this.
Huh. Where am I going with this, Elliott?
Is there a group of people out in the world that seem to make a lot of excuses for God?
Yes. I don't know what made you think of that, but that's interesting.
I'm a prophet.
You are.
I could tell what you wanted to talk about tonight.
Yes, and I am sure the title of the show had nothing to do with it.
Definitely not. No.
Why God always needs an excuse. You know, I wish I could have an excuse sometimes for why I just don't feel like showing up for work. That would be nice. But somehow God always gets an out whenever he doesn't show up to work.
He does. He gets a lot of free passes. He calls in sick every single day.
Yes.
And he never gets fired.
Never gets fired. And his representatives, the only people we ever have to interact with God are his people, because he never comes and has a conversation with us. So we have to just talk to his people. So his people who know him somehow talk to us. And they always tell us that there's a reason for it. So when they pray for something and it doesn't go the way they asked, it's because God said no, or he said maybe, or maybe not for now. So there's always a reason why God's just doing whatever he wants to do in spite of.
He always gives them an answer. Yeah, isn't that amazing? Even when there's no answer, that is an answer.
Always.
It's the perfect get out of jail free card.
Yep, absolutely. So
I'm sure glad that we aren't held to the, well, it would be nice if we were all held to the same standard.
Yes.
As everyone holds God. Therefore, we would always get a free pass.
We would always get a free pass for anything. No responsibility. Life would be a lot different. That's for sure. But you know what the problem is, Elliot? We exist. And it's very...
That is a problem.
So once that happens, you kind of don't get an excuse. So anyway... Here we are, everybody. We're so glad you're here with us. I'm glad Elliot could join us, and this is going to be a great time. We already have somebody in the room, which I'm thrilled about, so we're going to welcome John here in just a minute. Let me just let everybody know that we are accepting super chats at any time that you want to drop those into the comments, and we will entertain those before the end of the evening. So we welcome those. Thank you for joining us from Skeptic Haven, from the Deconversionist channel, also from my personal Unravelation channel, the Unraveler channel. And if you're on any of our Facebook groups as well, we're broadcasting to all of those. So we're just glad that you could be a part of it from any place you are. And just to let you know how this show works, it is called Open Room for the purpose of the night. Like, we are just having an open room instead of a call-in number, because we want to actually talk face-to-face with you. But as I said, we are the Deconversionists. And so every week on Monday and Thursday, I drop a episode called Unravelation. It's from the Unravelation series. And it's about a 6 to 7 minutes episode, and it just tells you the content that we're going to be talking about on this show. So you get to go on, check that out, and then we hope that you'll come and dialogue with us about it. Of course, you can talk to us about anything. It doesn't have to be limited to what the show's about, but we hope it is, because it's kind of more fun to talk about a subject that we're prepared for. But you can take us off guard. We're fine with that as well. We'll go where you want to go. But we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about social issues, only because a lot of times people try to make an argument, a case for God based on social issues, as if not having an answer for a social issue as an atheist proves the existence of God, which it doesn't. That doesn't make a case for God. It might make a case against non-belief. It might make a case against having lack of morality as an atheist or something like that. You might try to make a case like that, but it doesn't change the fact that you still haven't made a case for God. So making a social issue case for God is not really helpful, unless that's what you're going to do. If you're going to go to the Bible and you're going to try to use it for a case for God as opposed to a case against us, feel free. That'll be different, but be cautious with that. That's all we're asking, is just stay on point, and we're going to have some great conversations. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pop in John to the stage. Make sure you guys have your cameras on, because we want to be able to dialogue with you face-to-face. Clyde's also in the window. We're going to have him come in just a minute. Let's get John introduced and have a conversation. John, welcome to the Deconversionist, man.
How's it going?
Hey, John.
How are you
doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. So there's a little background on me. I am an atheist. I grew up in a Christian household. However, I left probably at the age of 14, as far as, when I was given the chance to get out. I don't know, I'm not militantly atheist, but strongly believe that there is no God, because I don't see evidence for it. Not too strong, because I was more of a, charismatic Christian, not too strong as like the fundamentalists were in the religion. So my background's probably not as severe as some other people's. However, I understand the general concepts. I don't know, I guess questions I would have, I'm willing to engage in the free will debate, but I also, would be interested in discussing a little bit about presuppositionalism and Andrew Wilson, and, that kind of
Oh, okay.
Interesting approaches.
You're one of those. Okay.
Exciting. It's entertainment.
So are
Yeah.
you gonna role? Are you gonna role play as Andrew Wilson, our arch
No,
nemesis?
I don't think so. I watched your guys' debate with Reforming Riley, and we could discuss, his approach to it if we want to role play from his perspective, I guess.
All right. Well, before we go there, then I'm going to introduce Clyde. Clyde's in the room as well, and let's just see what Clyde has to say. Clyde, welcome to the show, man.
Great. Yeah,
Hey, Clyde.
Alan Bondar, is that how you say your name?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Facebook wanted me to add you. I don't know. You had like dozens of the same Facebook friends as me, I guess, because we're both atheists. I think you identify as atheist.
I do.
Okay. So that's why. And so I started reading your posts. So that's why I'm here. I don't know if that's not a good reason, I'm not here.
Hey, it was ordained by the Lord, man.
Right. Yeah. There's just so many problems. You said God needs an excuse. So I say people need an excuse. And what people's excuse is God. And what they do is they spiritually bypass. And they'll say, Bible told me to do this, God told me to do this. No, you decided this on your own and you used God or the Bible as an excuse. I feel like that's the most common things a lot of Christians do, is this spiritual bypassing. It's really, really annoying. I met this guy and I said, well, do you think that women should have the right to vote? Because it's not about what I think, it's about what God thinks. God thinks women shouldn't have the right. I said, that to me is just classic spiritual bypassing. Classic.
Right on. All right, good. Well, we'll definitely venture into that territory then. So let's get back to John then. John, let's talk a little bit about presuppositionalism then. You brought that up. Or do you want to start with free will? What's your preference?
I think we can start with free will.
Okay, start with free will. What's your thoughts on that?
I watched your 5-minute clip that you posted as well on the topic. So, I kind of like where you were going with that. I just have some questions as free will has as defined, is that, more from freedom from external pressure, or is it your logic making the decision, or is it an emotional decision? I guess I kind of want to clarify that because, for instance, like, if I want to, if I open the refrigerator or freezer and I see ice cream in there, my emotion is going to say, I want to eat that. But my logic might go, yeah, but you said you were going to try to lose 10 pounds. And is there free will in there? My emotion usually wins. So, but free will over my emotion. And then that's a different thing versus you're being coerced, somebody putting a gun to your head. Whether I want it or whether the logic is, it doesn't matter at this point. I'd rather live than,
Are you saying that the logic part is free will and the emotion is not?
That's kind of my question, I guess. Yeah. Because people when they go into the church, right? There's coercion can come, I would say, from positive and from negative, directions, right? So there is obviously who wants to go to hell because that's horrible. Who wants to burn in a fiery lake for their eternity with the wailing and gnashing of teeth. But there's the positive of it's really nice to be in a community where everyone gets together and everyone knows who you are and everyone accepts you. So those are both pressures that are on you. It's not like you're on a desert island just thinking this up. Like, should I believe in God or shouldn't I?
So are you saying that if a person can reason, then that would be free will, and that would mean free will does exist? Like, do you think free will is a real thing, or is it an illusion?
I think it depends on how you define it, basically. Because if I define it as it's my logic, I don't think I'm ever really free of emotion. So I probably just don't have free will because my emotion takes over so much of the time. Even when I'm not thinking it's there, it's still there.
Well, I define free will as having the ability to choose versus not having the ability to choose. And however that might manifest itself in reality, like, I think that's what it comes down to. Like,
so you're talking purely external pressures then. Ability to choose is only constrained by whether you're allowed to choose or not, right? Not whether you want to or what
Well, you might feel like you're choosing, but my claim would be that you're not actually, whatever it is that's you is not actually choosing. That's an illusion. Like the outcome is dictated to you based on something you're unaware of in your like consciousness.
I mean, isn't everything then a choice? Because if I put a gun to your head, you have the choice. You still have a choice. But of course, emotionally, you don't want to die. So you're going to logically and emotionally think about that and go, which option would I rather do? Give them my wallet or die?
So
you have a choice.
Let me hop in then. The way I understand free will personally, and I even though I'm obviously not a Christian anymore, I do actually agree with Jonathan Edwards on the concept of the will. I think we always choose according to our greatest desire. I don't think it's possible to choose against your greatest desire. So in a very real sense, it's not really free will the way people define free will. You don't have the ability to choose against your greatest desire. That's impossible. It just can't be done. Like, even if you go into a bathroom, when you go and you step up to a certain urinal, there's a reason you're choosing that. It's your greatest desire for whatever reason, as silly as that illustration may sound. But you cannot go against what your greatest desire is. You will always choose it. So even people who commit suicide, for example, the reason they're doing that is because they believe life is better on the other side. They believe there's a reason that's going to bring them happiness for that versus staying in the situation that they're in. So it's I like the way Elliott defined it. It's the ability to choose. It's the ability to decide, but it's always according to your greatest desire. So nobody is robbing you from making the decision you want to make. You have to make that decision, but it's the decision you want as well. So in my opinion, there's no conflict in those two.
So when would there be a case of you not having free will, of you not being able to choose?
Well, if your head's being shoved on the water and it's coercion against your will, obviously you can't. Your free will is saying I don't want to be drowned right now, but you can't really come up for air.
You could still choose to drown.
Could you though?
I mean, it's not really your choice in that matter, is it? Oh, you could personally jump in water and make yourself drown, I suppose. Yes, if you're trying to commit suicide. If that's what you're asking, sure. But if your head's being held underwater, you don't have much of a choice.
Well, because there are, like, look at some places like Stalinist Soviet Union or something. There are people who stand up, even though they know that they're probably going to die by doing so, by standing up to the authorities.
And Clyde, feel free to pop in too.
Almost suicide.
So I was going to say, I don't think you choose your beliefs. There's a technical term. You guys may know what it is. It starts with a D. But I don't think you can choose what you believe because, for example, I can't choose to believe the earth is flat. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're correct. I don't believe isn't a choice. That's correct.
Yeah, belief isn't a choice.
But we're talking about free will. We're talking about making choices about things, not necessarily belief. I don't think you choose what to believe. You're absolutely right about that.
Right. I think your actions are a choice, but I think sometimes they can be constrained, like John was saying. If somebody has a gun to your head, yeah, you can still choose to do what not they say, but you're being coerced. There's choices made under coercion and constraints, even though. So I don't know whether I would say they're freely chosen. Where we know the consequences, are death for us. We're probably going to make the choice, meaning that we're not going to die. So I don't think it's just normal, like, okay, I'm deciding to choose whether to eat ice cream or a salad. That I would say, okay, that's a choice.
Right. So by the way, somebody was asking in the room, how do you get into the room? Or in the chat, they were asking how do you get in the room. The link is pinned in each window, no matter where you're watching from, except my personal Facebook page. For some reason, it's not letting me make comments there. So if you're there, I apologize.
If you go to YouTube, there will be a link in the description.
Yes,
click through that.
Thank you, Elliott. Well, actually, that's a good point. Even on my Facebook page, if you go to the description, it'll be there, so you don't have to leave. But that's how you get into the room, and then you have to wait for me to populate you in. But otherwise, just hang there and chill out. Elliott, back to you. Sorry.
So I think the problem with the concept of free will is actually deeper than where we're at right now with the, hey, I feel like I'm making a choice or I have the ability to make a choice. It's when that choice is actually made, where is it coming from? I think that choice is coming from deeper inside of you than your surface level consciousness. Something is going on under the surface in your subconscious that's actually making that choice for you, and then you're becoming aware of it. Like there's more going on here than just this, pick right or pick left. Like they've conducted fMRI studies where they put people under an fMRI scanner on the brain, and they've given them very, very simple choices, which is just like pick right or pick left. So there's nothing riding on the choice. There's no external pressures. There's probably no internal pressures because it's just a simple binary, one or two. And what they found is that when the subject tells the researcher that they are making the choice, like they're aware of making the choice, they can actually see on the imaging that choice was made like significantly prior in their brain than when they became aware of it and actually chose right or left. So something's going on here on a subconscious level that the you in the present that you're aware of it's like that you is an avatar, and like you're the rider on a horse, and the horse is making the decision for you. Like that's where this illusion of choice really starts to break down.
Yeah, but from the Christian perspective, isn't it that God is not controlling you, right? God is not making decisions on your behalf or making decisions for other people to benefit you or hurt you, right? He's not puppet, he's not a puppet master controlling the strings of people. You are supposed to be able to do it independently of what God wants or doesn't want.
So the
Christian excuse why we put free will as an excuse for God is when people do bad things, we don't blame God for them. We say, well, God gave us free will. Now, of course, the atheist counter to that is, no, you don't have free will, which is what the case that I'm making.
Similar to what Elliott was talking about, I just want to bring up two quotes because they're really good quotes, and I think they really hone in. Author Schopenhauer said, "A man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." Sam Harris modernized it, and he said it like this: "You can do what you decide to do, but you cannot decide what you will decide to do." And I think those are really good summaries of the way. So, like Elliott was saying, it comes from a deeper place, something that's already there, that's driving that decision that you're gonna make. But yeah, so when Christians say, "But God gives us free will," I'd like to take it back to what I was arguing for earlier, and I'm not sure we're saying anything much different, Elliott. But the Christian excuse is, "Oh, well, God gives us the ability to choose against our greatest desire," and I'm saying that's not even possible. That just doesn't add up.
But isn't he also constraining us? Like, isn't he influencing our decision? I guess that was your point on your video, your separate video clip, was that there is coercion involved. Like, even within the story, if you don't choose God, you burn in hell.
Yeah.
It's, you could change that pressure of like, what if hell was actually a place of sin, of pure sin? It was just pure hedonism, and it was basically party all day, do whatever you want, have fun. Now you're changing the decision here. It's like now it's not so negative. Now there's a lot of people who would be like, I might want to go to hell. Actually, it might sound preferable to sitting around in a white room and praying all day or something.
Right. Well, I have discovered over time now, dialoguing with more Christians than ever before about this kind of stuff. It's amazing how many of them are starting to even question their own God because of his morals in the Bible. And they're like, I'm not even sure I'd want to be around this God for eternity. So their desires are starting to shift from God himself to wondering, is there other options? And to the degree that they're now starting to invent different types of different interpretations of who God is. They're just starting to make up God and just throwing away portions of scripture, and they're just cherry picking the parts they like. And they're saying, well, my God is like this, and that's the Christian God for me. And still calling themselves Christian. That's how bad it's gotten when you actually pay attention to God in the Bible. But yeah, I mean, free will. Yeah, it's God is ultimately in Christianity, at least in my opinion. And you're going to hear Christians all over the place on this debate, obviously. But in my opinion, even when I was a Christian and even out of Christianity, the only logical conclusion of a God is one that controls everything and is utterly sovereign, even over your own will. Because it makes no sense to have a God that's like surprised by shit. Like he obviously knew what was going to happen and could have stopped it if he wanted to, but chose not to. Even from that perspective, it means that's what he decided was going to happen. So no matter how you play it, you have a God that's manipulating every single chess piece on the board, and there's no way for free will to take place. It's impossible.
He's already restricting our free will by rigging the system from the beginning.
Correct.
If you don't choose believe in me, you're going to go to the worst place imaginable forever. Well, what person in their right mind wouldn't choose to believe in God then?
That's exactly
right. Clyde, I don't want to freeze you out here, Clyde. So I want to pose a question to you hypothetically. Let's say you said you're an atheist. So let's say you can get past the belief part, and like for a fact that there's an eternal lake of fire, and there's a choice to be made. Like if you were fully convinced of that, do you think that you would have the free will to even make the choice to reject God and to go spend eternity in hell, or would you be forced to follow God if you knew for a fact that this was the Bible was a true story?
If I knew for a fact that the Bible was true, I would choose God, because I wouldn't want to go to the lakes of hellfire forever. I mean, to me, that's one of the reasons why I don't believe in the Bible and I don't believe in God, because I don't think that God would send people to hell forever for not believing in him. That to me is, probably the worst punishment. It's not a just punishment. It's disproportionate, right? To doing, it's just undeserved. Sending somebody to hell. I mean, even people, I don't know whether I would send somebody who murdered somebody to hell. Even 6 million people, I don't know whether I would send them to hell forever. I would probably just have them just vanish. That's why I like, some religions have this. I can't think of this term. You probably know what it is. This term where you just, so it's similar to us. Like you get put in the ground, but you're over. There's no soul, nothing further. If you didn't accept their religion, the people who accept the religion, they get to go to heaven and live forever. The rest of us are just annihilation.
Yes, annihilation.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I'm just going to pop this comment on because clearly it's coming from a Christian, but it's right in line with what we're talking about. I think we should respond to it. He says, people send themselves to hell, not God. If God exists by definition, he gave you every gift, your family, and even the earth you walk on. Strange to hate that God, already straw man central.
Who created hell?
Yeah, right.
Because it wasn't humans. Like I didn't make the free will choice to create this hell to send myself there. Right. And when I die, do I have control over where my soul goes? Or am I completely at the mercy of this God? Like, how can I send myself to hell when I never even believed that there was a train, never made it to the train station, never bought the ticket? Like, I don't even have the ability to get on the train myself. Like, this God is 100% responsible. He created the place. He created the conditions by which I would go there. How can I send myself?
He also created the rules by which you get judged. You go to the pearly gates and you get judged. These are the rules that he created.
Right. And this to me is, here we go with spiritual bypassing again. So this guy is spiritually bypassing for God. So God doesn't bypassing the responsibility, for his own actions.
Right.
Exactly.
Look, who in their right minds would choose hell? Like, if these options were testable realities that we could observe and be told, okay, look, peer into hell. Elliott and I did a show, I don't know, what was it, a couple months ago? I can't remember, where we talked about why Christians don't really believe what they say they believe.
Right.
If you actually peered into hell and you saw it and you knew it was real, like not taking it on faith, right? You actually had reasons. And we could actually test this and observe it. And then we were shown God and somehow he'd come down and have a conversation. You were given options. I'm sorry, but nobody would choose hell unless it turned out that God was worse, which it very well may be. But in all reality, knowing what hell is, the way it's described, if we really did know it existed, nobody would choose hell. That's just asinine to say that they would. The only reason somebody that's not a Christian is supposedly choosing hell is because we have no reason to believe either a God or a hell exists. And so we're just not choosing God, choosing to believe in something that you make a claim exists when we have no reason to believe it does. So by the sheer nature of the fact that we don't believe God exists because we see no reason, you're saying we're going to hell and that we're choosing hell. I ain't choosing hell. I don't believe that exists any more than God exists. So, yeah.
If I can send myself to hell and it's totally within my purview, my power, then I as an atheist, am just going to choose not to go. How about that?
Good
I also
idea.
don't want to go to heaven.
I'm going to enter.
So now is that free will anymore? If I have the free will, if this free will is somehow so powerful that it can defeat God's plan or defeat God's will, well, then I'm going to use my free will to not go to either heaven or hell.
I'm popping in James Apperson. He has joined us as well. James, please pop your camera on.
Oh, hello there. I'm well known in the community. I don't have a camera here, but like Wes will vouch for me, and so will most of the people in chat.
Okay, well,
I'm a moderator at Myth Vision, Dr. Jennifer Bird, History Valley.
we'll make an exception this time, but typically we would like
that's fine.
So just keep that in mind. But yeah, we'll keep it an exception.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
You want to just jump in? You say something in the conversation, or?
Well, so several different things occur to me. One, even if it can be said that Bibles equal true, we still would have to argue about what the interpretation is that's supposed to be the truth, right? Without having an objective system to rely upon to figure out exactly what the whole darn thing means, the idea of it being true is irrelevant to our experience anyways. I don't even know what to do with it, because the Jehovah's Witness is going to tell me, oh, Bible's definitely true, but the Mormon's going to say the same thing. So is the Roman Catholic and the Southern Baptist. And so really that wouldn't get us really anywhere. I'm still left with this big giant question mark of, I don't even know what to do with this thing. And so with that being the case, like, it's just a non-starter for me.
Exactly. You would need an infallible truth detection method in order to get past all of the bullshit, to find what is actually the truth, so that you could even make the free will decision that you might not even have in the end anyway.
Right.
So until a Christian can show me an infallible truth detection method, like, I'm lost. I'm lost in a sea of options and confusion.
So Stumbling made another few comments about how, as an Orthodox Christian, hell is actually just denial of God's love. It's not actually a place of suffering, so to speak. It's apparently a place of not being in his, in his cone of love or something.
Yeah.
I'd ask what happens to a person's soul then.
I just don't know how I can deny someone's love that I don't even believe exists.
That's still a punishment, isn't it? Like, if I didn't know that I should believe him, I didn't appropriately know the choices available to me.
Yes, and it goes to show that God is arbitrarily playing favorites. And if he's not going to reveal himself to me and then punish me for that, how is that my fault? I mean, that is an unjust punishment.
Right. It's always your fault. Well, you didn't pray hard enough.
Right.
Or you didn't have enough faith. It's always your fault. It's the same gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's never God's fault. It's always your fault. And that's just another reason why, I'm not a believer. I just, I can only I do think loving fellow human beings and helping fellow human beings is a good thing, but I don't think those come from Scripture. I just think that comes from human norms and from evolution. And some of those ideas got into Scripture, but then there are the bad ideas that got into Scripture too. And even with two Christians who accept the same Bible version, they have different beliefs. So it still doesn't even saving Christianity, Bible, Scripture, God, all of these things among the Christian, they disagree. They disagree over what God says. They disagree over what the Bible says. They disagree, about like whether there's life after, it's all over the place.
Right.
Even in the same denomination, they still have contradictory beliefs.
I'm adding Wes to the conversation. Wes, welcome. What are your thoughts, man?
Hello. Well, I say that Jesus has appeared to all mankind 7 times, and that all mankind is dead to it. Just as he said you couldn't see his face and live, you did see his face and you're dead to it. He said
7 times.
Yes.
I'm curious for you to tell us about these 7 times. I'm only familiar with the one in the Bible.
Sure. Well, he returned in the clouds with his angels, saying, "It is time." And then Satan emulated and said, "Sad and delicious." That was many years ago, more than 22 years ago.
When did that happen?
January 4th, 2003. It was 2 a.m. in Chicago when I heard it.
Okay.
I missed it.
Yeah,
I think most of us missed that.
And hang on, before we go any further, pause for a second. Wes, you are a theist, I'm going to take it?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I believe
then,
Jesus was
I
of
need
the
you to
flesh,
answer
that
two
Jesus
questions
is
before we
God.
I need you to answer two questions before we go any further. One, what God do you believe in?
I believe Jesus is God and there is no other God beside him,
Okay.
that he was of the flesh.
And what are the reasons you believe God exists?
I don't need reasons. Those are childish imaginations reasons. I have faith. I believe. Simple as that.
Well, then why are you here? Are you here to provide us with a reason?
You asked me another question earlier. Did you want the answer to that question first?
Well, that question.
Well, I think it's important that we build a foundation before we can get into the details. And my foundational question would be, if you're not here to give us a reason, then like, why are you here talking to us?
In other words, we know you have faith, and that's great, which means God appeared to you somehow, and he's talked to you, and you know he exists. But if you can't tell us how we can know, then we're wasting our time in a conversation because we don't believe the same God you believe exists. So
I know your God spoke to you. Your God told you, I will turn and toss you violently like a ball. Your God told you, don't tell the vision. You each believe it spoke only to you, and it spoke loudly in your minds. It was on the dates October 10, 2005, March 31st, 2020, and your God's name is Baal or Satan or Lucifer.
We missed it though.
Wes, I'm going to mute you for a second.
Wes, we missed it though. We're just asking you to, explain this a little better.
Because listen, I'll unmute you in a second, but you need to hear this clearly. Before I unmute you, if you don't have reasons or a way for us to test that God exists other than just telling us we believe it, we need to have reasons. If you can't give us any, we're going to remove you from the show because we have other people that want to have a conversation.
Well, hold on, Ellen, hold on. He gave some very specific real world claims. Like he said that this happened and he gave dates. And right. I'm just curious for the sake of entertainment here. Right. I would like to know about where these dates, what happened on these dates, and why we missed it, because I clearly missed it. All four of us here missed it.
I don't remember them.
Sure. October 10, 2005. You were in your bed for a few moments, not even minutes. You could not move. You heard a loud sound in your head and you felt like an electric shock course through your body. The voice said a perversion of Isaiah 22. The voice said, I will turn and toss you violently like a ball. You each believe it was spoken only to you.
Wes, I didn't hear that.
Not to everyone. It was spoken to all of you.
Stop. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
You're just claiming we heard stuff.
Yeah. Well, you
I can say the same thing to you, Wes.
Yeah, you're a railist. You rail. You don't really have freedom of speech.
That's exactly what you're doing right now. You're railing us.
It has to meet your ultimatums, and your ultimatums are an unknown depth of a pit, and you're not going to come out of it.
All right, so
you're here railing at us, sir.
No, you're railing. You're making ultimatums. I'm giving you fact. Don't tell the vision.
You're telling me things that didn't happen.
Well, you're not going to listen. You're going to interrupt because you don't have patience.
You could say this.
You don't have the patience to listen.
All right, so
that's what you're displaying right now.
Wait, hang on a second.
I haven't spoken once where you haven't interrupted me.
All right,
I'm sorry.
Please mute it. Hang on, I'm muting everybody for a second. What you're saying, Wes, is in order for us to have faith like you, we also have to have faith that we saw these things. Correct?
No, I'm saying Jesus Christ has given you over to a reprobate mind. You're not going to believe Jesus is God no matter what.
Oh, well, that's fair then. What are we having a conversation for then?
There may be one or two viewers watching this. This happened to them too. And
there's not even one. There's not even one. I guarantee you that right now. There's not even one.
All right, let me just ask.
I realize that. Have you ever?
Hang on. Anybody else in this room heard or seen any of the things that Wes is saying we saw?
So yesterday at noon, SpongeBob revealed to me that he's the true eternal hall monitor. Does that count?
I mean, sure. The great SpongeBob God. All right. So there you have it, Wes. Out of 6 of us, only one of us apparently saw these things, and that same person is claiming the rest of us did, but all of us are saying we didn't. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So God is apparently
Sure. Then I'll ask Jesus. Jesus, would you gently knock 2 times in every one of those mouths that it happened to every one of those people that Satan told them don't tell the vision? Now you're all going to feel 2 gentle knocks in your mouth, in your private mouth, where you can pretend you didn't. You can lie and say it didn't happen, but it just happened.
Okay. Well, if God doesn't,
Hold on, Alan.
are you going to make an excuse for him for some reason as to why he didn't do that?
You're in a pit. You're not going to come out of it. You're cut up in little pieces, and you're not bleeding, and you're not saying any words. And if anybody does speak about Jesus, you cut them up and then lift your hands up with your smiling fangs as though it was fun. I get it.
All right. I don't foresee this.
Ellen, hold on. I just want to ask him how he knows that this happened. How do you know that this event took place back in 2005? How do you know?
On October 10, 2005, as I lay in my bed, for a moment, I could not move. I had seen my soul. It was filthy. It was not baptized. It was not white and clean from head to toe. It was dead ashes from head to toe. Death, the wages of sin. My name blotted out of the book of life is what those ashes are. Those ashes is the kingdom of Gog and Magog. That part of me, the evil, wicked, dead part of my soul that was not baptized, was attacked by Satan. He put like a fire, like an electric coursing through my soul, and I heard a loud voice that said, I will turn and toss you violently like a ball. I looked in the Bible and I found a verse like that, but Satan had perverted the word of Jesus written in Isaiah 22 that night. October 10th, 2005. Okay,
well,
I'm almost done. I won't ramble.
No, well, we're gonna mute you if you don't take a breath, okay?
March 31st.
Because this happens to you, you assume this happens to everyone, correct?
It did. March 31st.
Okay, I'm done with them.
Yeah. All right.
Jesus
Thanks,
shut those.
I appreciate it. But listen, man, when God comes and talks to us and he talks to you, then I'll believe. But until then, you're going to have to give us better reasons than what you guys do know. So thank you for joining us.
Good luck on your spiritual journey, sir.
Yeah, have a good one, buddy. Bree, I'm going to wake you to the stage, but I need you to turn your camera on. Oh, she disappeared. All right, so she's gone. If you want to come back in, Bree, you can. I'd love to add you to it, but we need you to turn your camera on. All right, so that was fun.
It was. Hey, I'm glad that he showed up and portrayed for us that Christianity exists on a spectrum of different varying degrees of reasonable people and not reasonable people, and he portrayed one of the ends of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Oh, Bree says in the chat they just wanted to let you know about some stuff in chat.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What do we got? Some stuff in chat. I don't know. I got so many things in chat here. We'll browse through that later in the conversation. I don't see any super chats, so we'll entertain them momentarily. Because it's hard to focus.
Oh, private chat, they say.
Oh, in the private chat. Thank you. My apologies. Well, that's okay. Anyway, while I'm reading this and figuring out what they're talking on, let's transition into presuppositionalism, because that was the next topic. Let's discuss that, because that's a very fascinating one. John, do you want to introduce that, and then we'll pick up the conversation, and then I'll hopefully be able to pay attention while I read here.
Sure. Ellie, do you want to give a definition of presupposition just to kick us off? Mm-hmm.
So presuppositionalism has been on our minds a lot because we've been dealing with, either directly or indirectly, with a lot of these guys that are they've got a new debate strategy. I wouldn't say it's new, but it's the counter. It's the only counter that the Christian community, I think, could come up with against the new atheist movement that is based on evidence and arguments. And so presuppositionalism is essentially, I don't need to bring evidence. I don't need to bring arguments. I have a foundation for logic and morality. That foundation is God. And you, as the atheist, do not have that. Therefore, you can't say anything is true or anything is moral or immoral. And they think that this is a checkmate because we can't answer the question, at least not obviously, of what our foundation is for knowing anything. Yeah, did I get that right?
Sounds good to
Yeah.
me. Yeah, so I think, when you look at Andrew Wilson or Reformed Riley when they're talking, they kind of just pivot back to, they're making the attack on the atheists being that you guys cannot prove that facts are facts. You just say facts are facts, which is tautology. So, you say it is something because it is something, but you have no basis to prove that. So are there facts is essentially what they're saying. How do you know they're facts? Are they not just subjective interpretations that are happening inside your mind? And then they proceed to claim that they aren't doing that by saying that the Bible is objective truth and that God is objective truth. But if we're not allowed to define objective truth, something that exists outside of ourselves, why are they allowed to define it? What basis do they have to define an objective truth? Why is their fact not just tautology too? They say it because they say it. If we're all humans and we're all sitting inside our heads and we're all observing and interpreting the world based on our senses, which is all humans are able to do, right? We can't none of us can say that there is an objective truth that it lies outside of us. It's all getting interpreted by our minds. So there is no objective truth. So when Andrew Wilson's hammering on that point and ripping people apart because, you can't prove 1 + 1 = 2 because it's really a social construct where everybody agrees. It's a consensus. Everybody agrees 1 + 1 = 2. Therefore, that's not an objective truth either.
Do you think that things can be known empirically, like that? The fact that I would say that you exist, I'm looking at you through a screen, but let's just assume we were in a physical room, okay?
That's your interpretation that I exist.
Right. You would not say that you are not objectively true if I could look at you in the real world?
No, because that's your interpretation. Somebody else could come along and say, John does not exist. And what are you going to do to that? How do you prove to them that I do exist?
Well, I think you can. I think that there is matter. I think there is phenomena out there that we can objectively observe as human beings that we can point to. And I think there are ways that we can test that some of these things exist. Math isn't one of those things because math is obviously abstract, right? But it's not the same as saying like a rock exists or a car exists or you exist or I exist.
Okay, but how can you prove that a rock exists?
Because I can directly observe a rock. And because other human beings...
That's your brain interpreting based on what your vision is perceiving, the light coming into your eyes, and your brain is interpreting that their rock exists. But how do you know that it actually exists?
Because if I were to ask 10 other human beings, the likelihood would be that they perceive the rock too.
And you're relying on consensus of subjective interpretations.
Okay.
So none of that is objective. None of that exists outside of us. You can't prove that it does. You're leaning on other humans to validate.
But if I touch it, if I pick it up, that's matter.
These are other senses that your brain is interpreting as well. So none of this is all subjective inside your brain, right?
So it definitely all comes down to the uniformity of nature and an agreement on that, because we all know we should all know that hard solipsism is just something we can't know for sure. It could be very we don't have answers to these questions. We don't know for sure if we're just brains in a vat. You could all just be figments of my imagination right now. There's no way we can know with 100% certainty, but there's consensus that we are having genuine conversations here, that uniformity of nature happens. So I know you guys are really in those screens and you're real people, and we really have no reason to not believe that.
I'm not sure Wes would agree with you.
But here's the real question though: is how is claiming that God provides these as facts any different? Because who decided that God actually exists? Who decides that God is an actual fact to begin with? Where did that come from?
I think that was where I was going with this. Is if everything's subjective, if you define a subjective and objective in this manner, the way I was trying to describe it, that means that everything is just a subjective interpretation of humans, and the best we can do is consensus. Just like what Clyde was saying, the best you can do is get together as humans, and 90% of us agree that this is the way it is. Then therefore we say it's the way it is. Or
that-
if somebody's a dictator and they have power over you and they can coerce you, well, then I guess you're just going to have to accept it.
Right. But there is exactly the reason why God probably, and this is probably a stronger case for a Gnostic atheist, an affirmative atheist, that God does not exist, because if in fact it requires consensus to agree that God exists, then you are now showing that the only reason God exists is because you've agreed that he does. So it's not because he does, it's because you say he does. That's not evidence that a God exists in any way, shape, or form. That's actually a pretty strong case that he doesn't, because we required us to say, hey, God exists. So any way you spin it, you have to have consensus for us to have any sort of conversation.
And that's what the secular humanists say. They say that their morality is based on human consensus.
Of course. Well, I mean, it is subjective.
Yeah.
Right.
Until you agree and make it objective. Like
Right.
when you play football every season, the rules update. That makes it subjective, but then they objectify the rules, and now for that season you play by those rules, and if you break them, there's penalties.
Mhm.
We call that objectivity. You have it. You can create objective rules, but then they can become subjective at any time, which is what we do with morality. This is why we've updated ourselves over the years and evolved, because now we think slavery is a bad idea. Hallelujah, we figured that out finally. But that's what we do. We figure things out and we make it better. I'm going to let Sahib into the room, but Sahib, I need you to put your camera on before I do. So, okay, there you go.
While that happens, I want to say hello to Detroit Atheist Queen and.
Is my voice clear here?
Right.
Do what now?
My voice clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
So I just want to know, first of all, what you guys are all about and what is happening here.
Okay.
You didn't know before you came on?
No. It just came on my YouTube and some guys are talking about I guess most of you are agnostic or atheists.
Right.
Correct.
That's pretty much what this is. So if you are a believer in a God, we'd like to know that.
So here's the thing. First of all, I've seen you, I've heard a lot of people like you, and also the believers. The problem here is making, first of all, my English isn't that great or good. So
Your English is fine. We can understand you very good. Yeah.
Okay. So for the first problem I see is making very complex things easy. Like I see God, Allah, whatever you want to call it, it's above and beyond the word silence. Now, the first claims I want to make, because I am a Muslim, and I don't say I am a Muslim. I would just say I am a Muslim by my name. I'm not a true Muslim. I'm just a reciter. A kalma go is someone who recites there is a God and Muhammad is a prophet. But it's way more complex than that. Now I just want to say agnosticism is the basic position I find that Allah orders me to how to think. It's basically agnostic way of thinking. It's very neutral. And atheists, if are honest, are going to paradise. I don't see a problem in my faith here. I don't see my faith as a faith also. It's a system. It's called a deen. So you guys are what I need. You guys are great. I don't see a problem in you guys in any way. You're going to hell or something is going to be wrong with you. No, there is nothing wrong with you. What's the problem?
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing I've ever heard from
Yeah.
Muslims. But I will tell you, I am bothered by this idea that, in the United States, and some people have, of Sharia law. I'm like, well, Christianity has Sharia law. So the Old Testament isn't something I want to put in law either. So to me, that's a dog whistle when people, talk about Sharia law and Muslims. Those are just dog whistles.
So
First of all,
you don't
yes, go on.
You don't embrace a God, then, is what you're saying.
I do, but I cannot. Here's the problem. See, in Islam, when I read in the Quran about God and everything, it's not a metaphorical or physical concept. It's beyond that. So there is different people coming up with different things. All I find is that that what I find in Quran, that it separates nothing from anything. It's a complete thing. I can be an agnostic, I can be an atheist, I can be an athlete, I can be an warrior, like call a jihadi or whatever. Not in this in that particular sense, but yeah, it is what it is. And I can be anything, all at the same time, because I am not one thing from the beginning.
Okay.
And
So
God, yes, yes.
I guess the important question for me in this conversation, at least with you, is so there is no God that is going to require anything from me. I'm good the way I am.
Yes. See,
All
the
right.
only problem in Islam we have, if you are honest, if you are dishonest, you know something. See, the Iblis or whatever, the devil, there is something written in Quran that said, uh, if you don't agree, disobey or whatever God, knowing that or understanding that fact of God, then you are questionable. If that isn't the case, you are honest, you are confused with everything in the world, no problem with you, mate.
Well, sounds great. We can get back to our other conversation.
So I just have one question for you. Why did
Yes.
you pick to follow or to read the Quran specifically instead of a different book?
I find it, first of all, I've been through everything. I've been through Hinduism, I've been through Christianity, I've been through all the philosophy, all the West, all the East. I had some spiritual experience that are more biological than spiritual. I know that for a fact now. I had everything, but what was missing is there was a guy that named J. Krishnamurti, and that he fascinated me a lot. He just breaks human psychology itself. Now he says everything, the truths about language, origin, biology, everything. At the end of the day, what it is all about, and the question isn't so easy for me. Then I find something. Yeah, I gotta do something. Then I born in. You will be surprised where I'm talking from. I'm talking from a country named Pakistan, and I live in Lahore. I just born in a family, Sunni family, Islamic family, and it's like all other. It's a I born in a denomination of an religion. I start questioning and everything. What fascinated me the most, it leaves nothing. If you pick just Quran and Quran itself and strip away everything else, it is purely your human nature. It is within you. I find it like it is connected with me through every angle, because I want to be biologically limitless, spiritually untouched, and everything that I can imagine. There is immortal everything, every fantasy, every non-fantasy, every sacrifice. Then I open a book named Quran. It is giving me a roadmap to everything there is. And I say, oh, but here's the twist. It says you should also think, you should question. Do not believe anyone, question the book itself. When I read this and all about this skepticism and going on Quran, on Islam, and every other religion, I was shocked that a book saying to me, "Don't believe in me." Then I start like, this is the way for me. So for now, I am an atheist. I am an agnostic. I am a biologist. I am a researcher. I am in. I'm an universalist, and I find the concept. Do you know the movie? You guys are from America or something?
Yeah.
There's a movie named Dune. Now, Dune is a very good movie.
Yes, it is.
Why I say that? Because, see, in every religion, there is a concept of end of times. And I believe in the end of times, there's going to be some people who's there's thinking gonna be beyond religion, beyond any philosophy. They're not gonna be bound by anything. I see science as a authority, as a religion. In the modern day and age, it has become an religion. It's gonna be people that gonna make and leap in this adaptive evolutionary terms. So in short, I think Islam is not a religion. Islam is a deen, is a system, and you can pick and choose whatever you like, as long as you are an honest man.
Okay.
And
Well, we
yes,
appreciate
yes.
your perspective, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Just keep in mind, Surah 538
Thank you.
dictates cutting off of hands of thieves. And
Well, we've certainly gotten some diverse opinions so far today. This is very interesting.
Yeah. All right. So I've had some other quotes from that, but I guess we'll just we'll move on. The quotes were coming in. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate the fun quotes from the Quran. We were gonna, but that's all right. He's gone. So anyway, back to our conversation. We are in talking about precept. I think we've talked about. Well, I guess we got away from precept pretty much.
Yeah, we got pretty far away from presuppositionalism, that's for sure, and far away from free will, and pretty far from excuses for God. But
presuppositionalism, isn't it that their claim is that God is an objective truth? The Bible is an objective truth.
Correct.
And yet we're not allowed to have objective truth.
But they never actually describe what that objective truth is or what that system is from the Bible. They stop at the Bible, but they never get into the details, which is interesting. Now, what this really is about, the presuppositional argument, is it's essentially a red herring. It exposes a dishonest debate tactic where we don't have to bring evidence, we don't have to bring arguments. We've completely diverted the conversation into like questioning your very foundation. And most people don't have a good answer for that, because we all come to the table with this implication, this assumption that I think, therefore I am, and morality exists and truth exists. And from there, we should have the conversation. We as soon as you roll it back to questioning, your very ability to know anything, you have completely blown the whole ability to have a good conversation. So that's what's really going on here, is they want to blow that up.
Yeah, but they can't do that to us without doing it to themselves. I mean, they don't have a foundation that's based.
But they won't defend their foundation. If you start asking questions, they won't answer them. Like, you ask them, where in the Bible did they get the foundation? How do they get it out of there? What does it even mean? And you won't get anywhere.
Right. Or how come Jesus just kind of forgot to mention presuppositionalism? Like, how did he blow that one?
Right.
So I like the word. To me, presupposition is just Christian assumptions. I'm reading actually Claude here, what the AI Claude is saying, but not Claude. And it's saying you just have to accept these things. These are just assumptions if you're a person of faith. And I think that's the same way, like the Bible and God and religion. It's just you accept it on faith. You don't have evidence. You don't have logic. You don't have science. You just accept it on faith. It feels good to you. It's a feeling. It's a belief. And, it's, and in science, and that's for me, secular humanists, it's like we say science tells us what's real and empathy tells us what's right. So to us, if you don't have a scientific basis or data or evidence, to me, it's just meaningless. There's no even point. I can't even argue with somebody who doesn't use the same or similar framework that I'm using for truth claims.
Right. But at least if they mention faith, that they're using faith, we can actually have a conversation about faith.
Right.
The problem is they don't want to do that either. They want to question our foundation for knowing anything. And we're not here to do that. We have to come to the table with all of us with a presupposition that we share a reality, truth exists outside of us, and we don't have to justify how we know anything. Like, I use my five senses. I'm running a simulation of reality in my brain. Like, I can't avoid that. We all do that. So we just have to agree at the outset on that presupposition so we can have a productive conversation. Right. So if they want to use faith, we can talk about faith.
Yes. And what faith does, though, is because it comes in with the presupposition that God exists, there's got to be a way to force God into the world in some way. So the presuppositionalist argument, kind of like my paraphrase of it, is, well, we don't like any of the other explanations, and we don't feel comfortable not having an explanation, so therefore God. And it's literally the God of the gaps argument. There's no other grounds for it, but it already presupposes God right out the gate without any merit or reason. Like, why did we jump to the supernatural? Where did that come from?
Right. We don't need the supernatural.
Supernatural, as if that's some explanation to it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me where that came from. There's no other reason to believe the supernatural other than we have to have some creator. Okay, why?
Right.
Why must we have some creator?
Right. Isn't that why they can't defend it? It's because they don't actually have a reason. It's just a feeling. They wanted to.
Yeah.
So
Why can't
they defend the feeling? It feels good.
Yeah. Why can't things just exist? Why do you need a creator? Why do you need a beginning? Maybe things just always existed, right? In nature. Why do you need a creator? It's just an idea. It's an idea. You guys know this already. Humans came up with. They're
gonna roll it back. They're gonna roll it back to the Big Bang and say that the universe had a beginning. It was the Big Bang, and therefore, because it has a beginning, it has to have something that began it. So they use that as their starting point. But like you said, why can't this just be an endless cycle of a Big Bang and expansion of the universe, and then a retraction back to another Big Bang, like back and forth, back and forth? Well, it could be an eternal cycle.
Right.
Why can't this just simply be something that we have no fucking clue about? Like, we just don't know, because whatever the laws were before the universe began are not necessarily the same laws that we live within this universe. So it could have been something entirely different, like a god, but not God.
Yeah, but there's no certainty behind it. That doesn't feel good. That's very uncertain, what you just described. So if somebody likes a simple model for life, they're going to choose what feels good.
But it's so interesting. Like, without the sin problem, you don't need a solution. So for some reason, it's like we're masochists liking this desperate problem of sin that's going to send us to a place called hell, just so we can find the cure of heaven. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It's like God created us and then sent his son to die for our sins. But why did he create sin in the first place? Why don't you just create a world without sin? Or what did he create? He says people had free. He says people freely chose. Why did he make humans so they wouldn't choose to sin?
Right.
Well,
there's so many intellectual.
You don't have sin, and you don't. If you don't have sin, you don't have external wrong people, which means you're right. You can't be right if there isn't that. So it's a tribalism. It's just a way to define the bad guys.
Right, but they don't even agree.
We all know the answer to this question because it came to us when we were lying in bed in 2005 in October. So this conversation is pointless.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out over in chat, HDTV had a different understanding of presuppositionalism, or at least he's heard a different view of it, where they believe that you can have objective knowledge, even atheists can, but that we can't give a rational account for it in our worldview. And so HDTV wanted to clarify this different idea of presups.
But Christians don't even agree. Even the word sin, like someone told me there are more than 600 sins in the Old Testament. Maybe I think that's what. But still, Christians don't agree over what is a sin and what isn't. So it's still not, even as an idea, or someone say that's sinning, or I was sinning, or they sin. Well, one Christian says that you were sinning, and another Christian says that you weren't, or even clergy. One clergy said it was a sin, and one person said that it wasn't. So it still doesn't help us, guide us as a moral guide for what's right and wrong, because Christian, and we don't have the same people who are secular humanists. We don't claim that a supernatural deity or absolutism or dogma says what's wrong. We will say that, murdering, we will say it's, or I guess what we would say that it's wrong, but we wouldn't say that it was a sin based on supernatural scripture telling us. We would say that it came from reason and from social evolution as a species, learning what helps us develop. That's what we would say the source of morality is. We wouldn't say it was from Bronze Age scripture or whatever. But all these concepts, these Christians, they're all subjective. They're all arbitrary. They all say different things. You take a Bible out, and I don't even like to use the term the Bible, because there's thousands of different Bibles. They do say different. They do have different numbers of books. Somebody just told me yesterday, he was raised Episcopalian, and he didn't know that the Catholic Bible had more books in it. I said, well, it does. But which one is the right one? Just like the right religion. Their Bible is the right one, and the Protestant ones are wrong.
Right.
So, back to the garden and talking about God and introducing sin and everything. It's so interesting when you think about it. And Dan, I'm going to let you in a second. I'm super excited. Dan, Deconverted Man, is joining us. I was hoping you would tonight, dude. So it's so interesting that you have God creating man in His image, male and female. So the implication is that if man was made in God's image, then man would act like God, because that's the image bearer. He comes in and he gives them a command not to eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And of course, right after that, in chapter 3, Adam and Eve eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, which tells me one of two things. Either God would have acted just like Adam and Eve under the same conditions because they were His image bearers, supposedly acting like He would, or He did not make them in His image correctly, which means He failed at actually accomplishing what He set out to do, and that is make them in His image. In either way, this God fails in the very first chapter of the Bible. He can't even create man properly.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't add up. Deconverted Man, Dan, welcome to the conversation, man.
Hey there, buddy.
Hey, Dan, welcome back.
Jump in, man. What you got to say? Oh, gosh, the lobster's back. Good Lord.
Is that your foundation for logic and morality?
It is. We can't hear you.
You heard from the lobster on October 5th.
Yeah, there it goes. Now I can. I forgot I muted myself so that but yeah. Oh, okay. Worldview. I don't even know what my worldview is really. Like, I've tried to write it, tried to figure out like what that would entail, and it seems like it's like so many things to think about that I can't boil it down and simplify it. Like, I have a way of epistemology I know, and my ethics I know, but it's like, okay, well, there's too many things that seems like I would need to have, packaged together to make a worldview. So I'm wondering if anyone has some insights on how do we, broadly speaking, construct a worldview, or is it complex? Is it simple? Is it a little bit of both? What is it exactly? So I wanted your guys' and gals and robots out there, whatever insights on that question, if you would.
Well, what are your thoughts when somebody says your atheist worldview? What does that make you think of?
Well, I reject that, because I'm like, well, there's not an atheist worldview, because that's incoherent to me. It's exactly. The word atheist doesn't entail that, nor does the word theist really. I mean, just being a theist doesn't mean you have a worldview either. You have to have, it's like saying Democrat, Republican. You don't have a worldview. It's not. It doesn't tell you enough about that thing. So, yeah. But when I'm thinking about what I would write down as a worldview, or what it would look like, I'm trying to understand that and explore that. And there's a logical way or analytic way to go about it, or maybe it's more artistic and poetic. I don't know. So I just wanted thoughts on that, and maybe that will help me write out what my worldview is.
Yeah, I wanted to say that secular humanism is a worldview, though. Even though atheist is just one point, no gods. Somebody who doesn't believe in any gods or deities or whatever. That's all atheism. That's not you could say a viewpoint, but it's not a worldview like humanism is.
Even then, humanism is not your complete worldview. It's just an important part of it.
So I think it's important to define what worldview even means or is. So I pulled it up on Wikipedia, and maybe this will help us out a little bit. It says, a worldview is a fundamental cognitive orientation of an individual or society encompassing the whole of the individual's or society's knowledge, culture, and point of view.
Yeah.
Don't know if that helps much, but
Wow.
If to build a worldview, you have to include all of your knowledge.
It is rather big then.
Yeah, it's
wow.
It's big.
I almost wonder if building a worldview is similar to what we were talking about earlier with free will. I mean, it's like it just becomes on its own. I'm not even sure it's something you sit down and say, I wonder today what I'm going to believe about this world. You either believe something or you don't, and so your worldview is structured out of beliefs.
Right. Yeah, and like we were saying, you don't choose what you believe. I mean, I can't choose to believe that like an apple is purple. I would only have I would say an apple is either some shade of red or some shade of green.
Right. And that's why atheism can't be a worldview, because a worldview is based on beliefs, not something you don't believe. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying I believe there are no gods. I mean, currently I would believe that, but that might be part of the worldview I have. But all I'm saying as an atheist is I don't have sufficient reason to believe there's a God because you haven't given me any. So I'm a neutral ground. I just don't believe that. I'm not making a claim about a belief of any sort. So I'm not even building a worldview from my atheist position. That's just neutral ground. Mm-hmm. Once I start going into humanism, for example, then now I have a worldview. And that's because I accept people of all people. Everybody's my people. I'm not segregating. So now that's a belief that I have. So I think a worldview is just structured out of your beliefs.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's a red herring to avoid discussing arguments and evidence, because it's a worldview is so comprehensive that we wouldn't be able to boil it down into something simple.
Right. Yeah. Humanists are universalists. So we accept everybody. We reject racism, tribalism, sexism, homophobia, we accept everybody in one human family. And we believe people should be treated in empathy. A lot of Christians don't believe in empathy. They think we're toxic because we have empathy for others. And so, I was going to say, Alan, what these people who say atheism is a religion, what do you say to them?
I'd like to ask them if theism is a religion.
Yeah.
What is?
Is theism
right?
Theism is a religion?
No, it's not. There's no more religion than atheism is.
Right. So my religion is not believing in leprechauns. It's just completely useless.
It's so ridiculous. And this is why, too, it's so hard, just like that guy was on earlier, to have a productive conversation with some individuals. It's very hard because we don't share facts, and frameworks aren't shared. It's just all over. It's just random. Yeah. Like
he had the guy I caught just the last minute or so of that one guy that was in previous to the Muslim person who was agnostic Muslim. I don't know. That was I was like, what? Huh? What? I'm like, you're agnostic Muslim. Huh, okay, but the one before him is I had this or that experience. I heard this. I'm like, nah, you didn't, or you did, and you're crazy. I mean, how, but it's okay, sure, you had some experience. I mean, I have no way to really say you didn't, but that doesn't mean any. I haven't had that, so it doesn't really mean anything to me. And it reminded me of there's this comedy documentary. The guy did several of them, conspiracy road trips. I don't know if you guys have seen that. This is really worth looking for, but he did one on I think he did flat earth, he did evolution, and things like this. I remember one of them, look, I'll put the sand here on the ground like this, and I'll pour the water on it to explain this, what I'm trying to explain. And the person's like, yeah, but that's your water. And I was like, what? It's his water, and that's why it's behaving this way. It's his water, so therefore he can't. I'm like, what? No, he's literally showing you the thing that he's trying to explain, and the person's so locked into what they think in their head that they have to make an excuse of why reality is now behaving in this way. It's no, see, that's just because it's your water. You're controlling that somehow magically, and that's not how reality really works, or something. It was really interesting. Seeing cognitive dissonance in action, and I always warn myself that I will do that, and because I'm human too, and I caught myself doing it when I was really tired. I was just like, oh, Watch Mojo did top 11 reasons God exists, or whatever the heck they called it. It was just so stupid. That they stole everything, which I didn't know that they did that, or borrowed everything. I don't know. But Hank Green was in there, and I was like, in my sleep deprived state, I was like, oh, you sell out. I was awake again. I was like, oh no, I'm wrong about that, because somebody pointed that out to me. It was like, you're not being skeptical. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I was like half asleep when I wrote that. I don't know what I'm talking about. So anyways, our brains do funny things to us, I suppose, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Speaking of brain doing funny things, before we move on to the next thought, my brain just reminded me I need to make a couple of quick announcements. Let everybody know, if you want to give some super chats, that would be awesome, because let me just let you know, all of the super chats go to Skeptic Haven, because it helps keeps the lights on and allows more shows like this. Skeptic Haven is really taking off, and we are so privileged to be a part of this process, but we would love to have you help us support them if you wish by doing that. Also, you can join their Patreon. That would be great. Go ahead and do that. That's another way that you can support. Another way that you can support, and this really makes a huge difference. I can't even express to you how much of a difference this makes, and it's free to you. Just hit that like button. That's all you got to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Those two things make gigantic difference. And it would help if you did it on both channels. You can go over to the Deconversionists, pop a like there, and pop a subscribe there, and pop it here in Skeptic Haven, wherever you are watching. Those make a huge difference. So we would appreciate your support so that we can keep making this show grow and all of the shows on Skeptic Haven. We're super excited about it. Tonight, we have, right after our show, is a debate going on. Did Jesus exist? On the thought experiment, right here on Skeptic Haven as well. You won't want to miss this. This is going to be awesome. It's actually two atheists, if I'm not mistaken. One is taking the position that Jesus did not exist, and the other is taking the position that he did. So it'll be a fascinating debate. So I would encourage you to join that. It's Ben Watkins and John Gleason. Oh my goodness, I just forgot his air name. Goodness gracious, for some reason I just drew a blank. Holy crap. Anyway, John Gleason. Sorry, John. Good Lord, that is so funny. I'm having a brain fart. And then Sunday is Skeptic Haven's Let's Talk. And this week is with Karen and AJ talking about Christianity equaling iniquity. And then Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. These are all Central Times up on the screen. Just add an hour for Eastern Time. Is Drew Beckius and Stacy Apostasy Beckius. It's a great name. Who really protects women? That's on Life After Faith this Wednesday. So be sure to check those out. There's lots going on in Skeptic Haven, but don't miss tonight, right after the show tonight, 7:30 p.m. I guess it's not right after, but a little bit after. So go ahead and check those out. All right, back to the conversation.
So Bree said godless engineer is the word you were looking for.
Godless engineer. Thank you, Bree. And I couldn't look at the comments at the same time as I was doing that, so I appreciate it. Yes, godless engineer. John, I'm sorry. I repent. Don't send me to hell. All right, we're good. Back to the conversation.
So, Ellen, do you have any comments that we can address?
Oh, maybe we should do that. That's a good idea. I am going to scroll down real quick and just see if there's anything question. I'm only going to focus on questions because there's a lot of comments going on, which we appreciate. Thank you guys so much for being part of the show and having fun with us. This has been a lot of fun. Clyde, I want to make sure that we didn't have a chance that we didn't miss out on the conversation you wanted to talk about, because I know when you first came on, you had something to say. Did we hit your topic tonight?
You know what? I think spiritual bypassing. So maybe if people can give me an example of what they think spiritual bypassing is, I could look in Claude too, what it thinks. I think it's very common to me. I want to like the top 5 problems with Christians as a whole, not individuals, but as a whole. I think it's spiritual bypassing is in the top 5. That's constantly attributing their actions other place. I mean, I if I do something, I say I did it. I read a book. I decided to do that. That I don't say God told me to do it. Bible told me, a demon. So it's coming from my prefrontal cortex through my system, and then I'm deciding to do it. I'm a product of evolution. These kinds of things. So, but they bypass every single other. It's like, why don't they just say, okay, I decided to do this. I decided, no, God, the Bible, demon, scripture, Lucifer. Just like, what do you guys think of spiritual bypassing?
Well, I'm going to spiritual bypass right now really quick and then move on to another question. Devos1 asks, Alan or Elliot, are you guys certain there's no God? Nope. Bypass.
Nope.
Next. Keep going.
Depends what God is.
It depends on how you're defining it.
Just out of curiosity, Devos also asks, I'm a moral anti-realist. Any others in here? I don't even know what that is.
Moral anti-realist. I think that would be equivalent to moral relativism.
Where there's just no objectively true morality.
But there's moral realism too. Moral realism. Moral, like that's what Sam Harris.
Similar to how I had never heard the term spiritual bypassing until tonight. Like, I think we're familiar with like what it means.
Concepts.
We're just coming up with synonyms, perhaps. So I think an anti-moral or an anti-moral realist would be a moral relativist.
All right.
Or
okay, I'm gonna go. Bye, everyone.
All right, Dan. Thanks for being
Take care. Thanks for stopping by.
So you guys can spiritual bypass for a minute while I scroll the questions.
All right. So I'm asking Claude what it is. Spiritual bypassing is a term coined by psychologist John Well, blah, 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 to describe the use of spiritual beliefs, practices, and frameworks to avoid dealing with unresolved psychological wounds, the basic pattern. Using everything happens for a reason. It's all part of God's plans to avoid processing legitimate anger. I've surrendered it to God. It's shifting your responsibility, including for your feelings, onto God. That's what it is. The spiritual framing gives the avoidance a social cover. It's harder to challenge them than ordinary denial because they're not responsible. They're not responsible. They bypass their responsibility to God.
A maladaptive coping strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I guess you guys have done bypassing. I better have a question here pretty soon then.
Yeah, you better step it up, man.
I know, man. I'm trying here. Hang on.
Or else I'll have to role play as a Christian. You don't want that.
No, because you actually might convert us. I don't want that. There's a lot of conversation, but honestly, there's not a lot of questions. So,
well, we can respond to some comments.
It's hard to role play as a Christian when you've never been a true Christian.
I'd have no idea which comments.
Oh, that's right. None of us have ever been true Christians. Yes.
No Scotsman fallacy. I was a Christian. The no Scotsman fallacy. Let me tell you, I was a prayer warrior. Okay, so I reject the idea that I was never a real Christian. I mean, I was, most Christian, but I don't think it's a matter of degree. I mean, I definitely was a man of faith in a church, still the majority of my life, a practicing, Bible-believing, man of faith Christian. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I kept seeing a lot of things in the church that bothered me, especially politics and hypocrisy. And I started reading books. I got exposed to the New Atheist. So this is why I've been out for like 17 years. And when I started reading that books, I even met Christopher Hitchens in real life. That's when I started to doubt and I deconverted and then deconstructed and I left, never to go back. But I don't accept that I wasn't a Christian. I mean, I had my Bible. I would underline in my Bible. I'd highlight in my Bible. I was serious serious.
I'm going to jump in because we got a guest, and I'm going to let him in because he is a Christian. This is going to be a fun conversation. But before we do, we have one good question from the chat. Hopefully you guys got some answers to this one. Any thoughts?
That looks like it encompasses an entire worldview right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
There's enough question marks too.
All right, Reg, welcome to
Hey,
How you
hey,
doing?
Alan! Finally, we get together.
We do.
Hey,
Reg,
listen.
As a
I
theist,
got a word.
hey, hang on. I know your word from the Lord, dude. We're not going to do word from the Lord's. We're gonna I've muted you because I know you're going to start preaching. No word from the Lord yet. Before you give a word from the Lord, you need to tell us who the Lord is. I want to know which God you believe in. And you got to give us reasons, something testable that we can actually observe whether God exists or not.
Even just one reason.
You're
Just
not
one
even
good
listening.
reason.
You're just preaching. So before you preach, we need a good reason, your best reason for why God exists and the God that you believe in. I need to know who this God is. Okay, I'm going to unmute you, and then you're going to have a chance to do that. If you just start preaching, I'm going to mute you again. All right?
I promise.
Go ahead.
I promise I will not preach.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
But
But we still need
just
to first. We need to know.
just consider this. Just consider this. You guys might not believe.
No.
in God.
No. You have to answer the question
All right, you're muted
before
again.
you
Go ahead.
begin to talk.
The rules are: if you're a theist, you need to first tell us which God you believe in and why. No other preaching yet. And if you can convince us with your why, then you can preach to us all you want. But we got to start with that, okay? Go.
It's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
Okay.
and Jesus, So, what's the next question?
Why do you believe he exists?
Because I exist and all you guys exist. We're here. Let's face it, we're here. So let's tackle the first problem. Okay, you guys don't believe in God, but guess what? He believes in you. That's why he sent his son.
That's preaching. We
Okay,
want to
sorry about that.
We want to
Okay,
have,
go ahead. Give
we
me a
want to
question.
have
Give me-
we want to have a conversation, and when you
Give me a
immediately
question.
launch into
What question do you want to know?
why are you a Christian?
Why? Because
Why?
Jesus Christ existed. He came out of the tomb. That's
But how did you come to that conclusion? Was there a point in your life when you were not a Christian and then you became a Christian? We want to know why that happened.
Well, I always believed in God as a Roman Catholic because we said our first confession, and I was sincere, not about the pains of hell. I didn't care about hell, but most of all because I've offended you, God, who are all good and worthy of all my love. So anyhow, he saves you. Once you acknowledge God, he saves you. Not only that, you're already saved. Every one of you is saved. That's what Jesus came to do.
You're
just
straying.
don't know
You're
it.
straying.
All right,
Hold
I'm
on,
preaching.
man.
Okay, let me get
You
back.
are
Let me
preaching.
get
You
back.
are. This is
All
not
right,
a
sorry about
conversation if you
Okay.
immediately launch into a monologue about your theology. We just
Okay,
want to
forget that.
know.
Forget
Can we?
that.
Let's
Okay.
focus. Focus
And
like
the
a
most
laser.
okay, the most important
Focus
thing
on
as a
you.
Catholic, I
Stop.
was into myself.
Stop. Can you just silence for a second? Let's focus, okay? You are a Christian. You believe in the God of Abraham.
Yes.
What convinced you of that? Was there a point in your life when you became a Christian for a specific reason?
Yes. And guess what it was? I was a selfish pig all my life as a Catholic. It was my way or the highway. So
Wait,
while I was selfish, I still thought I was a good Catholic.
Who told you that you were a selfish pig?
It was just obvious. I was a narcissist. It was just obvious. I did everything to please me. I didn't care about you.
And the solution to that was not to be a better person, but to turn to God?
Yeah, because I couldn't help myself. I says I'm empty. Doing the religious stuff, I was still empty. I thought I was a good Catholic, but I was not.
What
I was
convinced
full of myself. Full of myself.
What convinced? What was it specifically? How can you think back to this?
Just being empty. That's it. Each one of you have to look at your soul and say, am I full or am I empty? I was running on empty.
Greg, let me ask you something. Does a state of feeling empty automatically mean that a God exists?
I think so. Somebody got to fill me up, and I wasn't into booze, and I was into women, but I wasn't into booze or sex or rock and roll. I love rock and roll.
I'm just trying to find the connection you're making between feeling empty and being in the booze.
I don't know. I guess Christians say there's a hole in our soul. That's what they say, and I guess I had a big hole.
Yes, of course, it's what they say, and that's why you believe it, because that's what they say. But
no, I had it. I knew I was empty.
Yeah, but look,
I had to admit I was empty.
So if I tell you right now that you have a hole in your head, are you going to believe me?
I got ears, I got eyes. What kind of hole are you talking about?
All right, let's say I have a bird sitting on my head right now. You just can't see it. Do you believe me?
Well, if you believe it, I don't question your beliefs.
Okay, but I'm not trying to convince you that that's a fact. But you are trying to
convince me. No, I'm not. No, none of you guys. I'm not trying to convince you. When you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna stand in front of your maker.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Don't.
No.
Any answer that begins with you is not an answer we're looking for.
Well, are you going to die? Will you admit that you're going to die?
We have nothing to do with this. Don't answer any questions
do you
with
admit you're going to die?
No, stop with the you stuff. We're not a part of this. Okay, we're talking about you and your experience. Are you a Christian because you had a personal experience? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, now for someone who has not had a personal experience and wants to know why Christianity is true, what would you tell them?
Because Jesus come out of the ground. He's out of the tomb. There's Muhammad's.
Okay, and how are they to know that? How are they to know that?
I would look at the Shroud of Turin and try to debunk it. if I was you.
I want to point out that Muhammad
wrote. I'm not a Catholic.
I want to point out that Muhammad rode away on a winged horse, so I don't know why you think he's on the ground.
That's funny. I don't think his followers think he's resurrected.
What if someone tells you they're not interested in the Shroud of Turin and they don't want to look into it?
That's okay, because you're going to die. Well, let's all admit that.
Now you're back to the you stuff. You're back to the you stuff. I don't want anything to come out of your mouth that says you. Because this isn't about us.
Okay, I'm going to die. How's that?
Okay, that's better. That's a little better.
I'm going to die. You can deny death if you want to.
No, you're back to the you. Look, as soon as you say you're preaching at it.
Sorry about your sensitivity.
No, the sensitivity is we don't invite people on to preach at us, and anything that begins with you is preaching.
Please forgive me.
I'm looking for good reasons to be a Christian. Do you have good reasons other than your personal experience?
To tell you the truth, it's joy. If you want a joyful life, you can't get it.
Back to you. If you want a joyful life.
Well, I'm not going to get your God is going to send me to hell. The lakes of fire.
No, I do not believe in hell. Hell was made up by the Catholics.
But this is the point. What we're saying, you guys.
I thought you were a Catholic.
You want to believe. You just.
I'm trying to say something, y'all. Clyde, speak. Go ahead.
You pick and choose, and then I talk to another Catholic, and they will say I'm going to hell. This is that you believe whatever you want. It's just not a consistent.
Well, I believe Jesus, and he said there's a town dump, and that's where your body's going to be thrown. He talked about hell. He was talking about the town dump where the maggots don't die.
But that's your belief, and it's fine.
That's hell.
But the official Catholic position and Protestant is that people who are not Christians go to hell forever. That's their.
Well, do you think they're wrong or do you think they're right?
Well, I think they're wrong.
Okay,
religion is wrong. Just the whole idea. Of
me and you agree. We agree on that. That's a good start.
Yeah. But most of religion, it's nonsense. It's against reason, facts, evidence, logic. It makes no sense.
Well, that's why I say we're not looking for religion. Seriously, we're not looking for religion. We're looking for connected to God. You want to be connected to God, but it's okay if you don't want to be. I don't care. I don't try to convert anybody.
If you don't care, why did you come on here tonight?
Well, I like Alan, and he's a good guy. Bond, right? Bond. He's
Bondar.
like James Bondar.
Yes. And if I tell you I'm God, would you believe me?
No, that's silly.
Why is that any more silly than believing in a supernatural being we can't talk to?
Because you're here, I'm here, and somebody put us here. And if you
Nobody.
if you're any kind of a scientist, you know that we're made out of DNA,
Right.
and DNA is a code, and there has to be a code maker.
No, there isn't. There's
No.
no code maker, dude.
There's no code maker?
Bro, I'm sorry to tell you.
Dude.
You guys better talk to a scientist then.
We talk. Dude,
Maybe
we-
you should
we
talk to
try
a
and talk
scientist.
to
Or a
We're not
or a
scientists.
biologist.
You're not none of us are scientists. So why are we talking
I'm
about
not
science,
either.
Reg?
I'm
Then why
not
are we
either,
talking
but I
about
believe
science?
it's a code.
Why
They
are we talking
believe
about
it's a code.
science? Reg. Why are we talking about science if you're not one and I'm not one and nobody here is one?
All right, let's go change the subject. Let's go back to the beginning. Do you guys believe in spirits? Any kind of entity?
Nope.
No.
No,
I'm a
not-
materialist.
Okay.
I'm a materialist. I only believe in things that are matter.
Remember that other guy that come on and said he got paralyzed in his sleep? That's a spirit.
That's sleep
I
paralysis.
believe
a
him.
we
I
don't-
believe him.
condition.
I believe his experience. That was a demonic spirit.
Oh, so
They
then he
do
was back in
sleep-
2000.
They do
Reg, if you
sleep
believe him,
paralysis.
Reg,
Okay.
if you believe him, then
Yeah.
back in 2005, you had the same experience in October.
No, I rebuke spirits. Believe me.
He
I
said
try
that
to
everybody had that experience. Is what he said, and you
He
just said you believe
well,
it.
He's opened him up to a strong delusion. That's what happens when you let demons in. They'll deceive
believe
you.
in
They'll
demons.
trick you. They'll try to kill you.
All right.
Have you had problems with demons?
Oh yeah, because when you're doing the Lord's work, you do have problems.
Right.
And how does that take place? Do they communicate with you?
Anything that's labeled smart, like a smartphone, he messes with my phone. He messes with my smart thermostat on the wall. He shut that thing down 4 times already. My
Demons
computer
did
he
that?
shuts down.
These are
The fallen
demons.
angels. Fallen angels, yeah.
So you have demons in your house messing with your thermostat and your smartphone?
There's a scripture verse that says he's the prince of the power of the air.
No, I just want to get some
Ones and
clarification.
zeros. Ones and
Reg.
zeros. He screws with them. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to get some clarification. You are
Yeah.
saying that you have demons in your house that are messing with your thermostat and your smartphone and your computer?
Yeah, they can do it. Yeah, I laugh.
They can
at
or
it.
they
I
are?
laugh at it. It doesn't bother me. If that's
But
all
you
they're
believe
gonna,
that.
if that's all they're gonna do, fine. I laugh.
So is
Oh.
that your entire experience with demons? Is them messing with electronic devices?
No, they tried to kill me once when I was sliding on the ice at 65 mile an hour, and all I could say was Jesus, Jesus. When I got the third Jesus out, an angel grabbed the back of my car.
Reg,
I
how
would-
So
I
it
would
sounds
not be
like
talking to you.
anything that goes wrong in your life, you attribute that to demons,
No, not at
or
all.
just the things that you feel like it.
No, when it's physical. You know, like Tucker Carlson said, something scratched me. There were blood on his hands, on his arms, I guess.
How do you tell the difference between demonic activity and just normal calamities?
It's supernatural. Why would you get scratch marks on your arm? I mean, why don't you talk?
Are you saying that you can detect?
Interview Tucker Carlson and ask them why he had scratch marks.
I don't care, Reg. Are you saying that you have a supernatural detector?
I have discerning. It's called discerning of spirits, whether they're good or bad. Yes, I do.
So you have a superpower.
Oh, it's God's gift. They're gifts from God.
God's given you a superpower to discern demons?
Well, it's pretty obvious when he blows out your thermostat on the wall, and he shuts it at the same time he shuts down your internet. You know,
Why would you attribute that? Why would you attribute that to a demon, rather than just something going wrong with the electrical system?
Well, 4 times. Hey, you want to hear a story?
no,
A good one?
Not really.
Supernatural?
Not interested.
Probably not. Okay.
We still haven't. We've made no progress on the initial question. Somehow we got off talking about.
Okay, back to the initial question.
Listen,
I know
Reg,
something's bigger than me. That's all I know.
Reg, you're a nice guy and somewhat conversational, and we can actually talk with you a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to join us next week because we are running out of time, and unfortunately, we can't make enough progress tonight to really entertain this conversation. You came on too late.
Oh, it's entertaining. It's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, well, that's.
Yeah.
And that's what. And honestly,
I had to jump
at the end of
through
the
a lot
day,
of.
that's what we're here for. Is for entertainment, right?
This
And this is great. You know, getting somebody on the show who actually wants to talk about how demons are interacting in their life on a regular basis is extremely entertaining.
It is, and maybe we'll have more time next week. But Reg, can you?
Because I'd like to know more about this.
Reg, can you come on earlier next week?
I'll fill you in.
When you
I
can
mean,
come on earlier.
they're even if the Catholics believe in possession, you know, that's why they have exorcisms. The whole movie, The Exorcist, was based on a 14-year-old kid. His aunt was into Ouija boards, you know, and she.
Have you ever been possessed by a demon?
Oh no, I'm possessed by the Lord Jesus. That's who I'm possessed by.
So you are possessed then.
Yeah, so you have to let him in your heart. Yeah.
All right.
How do you know he's not? How do you know he's not a demon? How do you know he's not a demon?
Elliott, stop with the questions, bro.
Well, it's if you.
Come on, Alan, I'm having fun here finally.
I know, but we gotta talk.
Yeah, let him have some fun. I love it. Come on.
I said this is fun.
Bring it on.
Next week, but I gotta close the show.
Bring it on. I love it. Hey, don't worry. You guys, if you're happy where you are, good. Fine. Stay there.
My turn.
I was empty. I'm sorry. I was empty. That's all I know.
I gotta talk. All right. Shut up, everybody. Jesus Christ. All right. So here's what I want you to do, Reg. Come back next week, but you got to do it at the beginning of the show so that we have time to actually engage in conversation with you. But I want you to do 3 things. 1, come prepared to actually answer the reason as to why you believe God exists. Something more than just preaching. Something more than just I had an experience or whatever. If you're going to be here and help us unknow this God that you believe in, we have to have testable reasons, something that we can touch or taste or see or hear or test.
I just told you. I was empty. If you guys are full and you like the way you are, stay there. You'll find out when you die. That's all. I don't give a rat's ass about you guys. I don't.
Well, that's not very nice.
That's not very nice.
I know. I'm trying to be blunt.
You're sinning.
I'm trying to be blunt. You're already saying,
Jesus, man. What happened to the love of Jesus, dude?
Jesus saved you already. You just don't know it. That's all.
All right. I changed my mind. I'll come back on next week. I don't think there's much reason to talk.
I don't think it's going to help. You guys go your merry way until you're empty. Get to the bottom of yourself.
That's exactly what we're doing right now.
Right. I'm 84. You guys are still. Reg,
you're part of it. You're part of our merry way.
Thank you for emptying us tonight. You might be a vessel of the Lord to actually win us back. But anyway, seriously,
I don't give a rat's ass if you come back. You're already saved. You have nothing to do with it. Once you understand you got nothing to do with it, he saved you. So good night, gentlemen.
All right.
Good night.
Have a good life.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Notice the same thing. He was speaking for God. He once again, these people feel like they can speak for God. He saved you. Right. On what authority does he have to speak for God? God talks to him on the phone. God enters his mind. It's like
I can tell you right now, I don't know many Christians that would agree that that's what God told him, because they would not say that God saved us. So
no,
I don't know.
No, every one of these people has their own specific version of Christianity, and it's all based on personal experiences.
Exactly.
There's no possible way we can get to the truth, if there even is one.
Right.
Absolutely. Hey, here's a good question from the room. Way Philosophy. The topic is that God needs an excuse. Does a father need to give an excuse before stopping their child from running in front of the vehicle?
Well, he does need to give an excuse to the child when, after he gets him out of traffic, he takes off his belt and decides to discipline him. He needs to instruct him as to why that's happening and why to stay out of traffic. So if you're trying to make an analogy about God either disciplining humans or, maybe why they're going to send them to hell, then God has to account for that, or else what's the point?
Yeah. Although I would probably say this is not actually the same as an excuse. This is an explanation. When a father has to do that, they give an explanation to their child to help them understand why they removed them from running in front of the vehicle. When you're talking about an excuse, that's when a father continues to say he's going to do something and continues to fail to do it, and he's a non-present father, and mom continuously justifies it and says, well, your dad's okay, he's just at work or whatever. Those are the kind of excuses we're talking about. This is not even in line with
when the father pulls the kid out of traffic, it's an emergency. What we're doing right now, this here on earth, this is not an emergency. We have plenty of time for God to give an explanation.
Yep. All right. So I think we're going to have to call the show to a close. Otangalo, thank you for jumping in the room, but unfortunately, we do not have time to throw you in here tonight. So come back next week, join us, and we would love to have you on the show. So please, please, please come back next week, man. We thank you for joining us.
Unfortunately, Ellen is worn out.
No, I'm not worn out. It's just we got to respect people's time, and they got to get ready for their next show. And
no, I get it,
and all that. So, but you guys, if you're in the room, and just everybody, once you're in the room, if you guys want to stick around after the show and talk some more behind the scenes, we can do that. There's a closing credit song or whatever, and then so stick around if you want to do that, and I'll pop you guys back in. There was a good question in here I saw earlier, and I did want to entertain it. It was about us. I can't find it, but Elliot, it was a question to us specifically about what is the deconversionists? Why are we trying to deconvert people? Just leave them alone, that kind of thing. You know, that once again, that whole thing. So essentially, So the first question: why the term deconversionist? Because we're trying to deconvert you from the con of Christianity. I know you don't think it's a con, but we are convinced it's a con because we think that you've been brainwashed, just like we were, to accept certain things as fact without questioning. And you've just come to accept them, and that's called faith. And once you live by faith, you can pretty much justify any belief, and you don't have to have any reason for it. And once you eliminate that factor from your life and you stop accepting faith as a reasonable way to determine truth or reality, because it's totally unreliable, then you'll start to see that none of the things you take on faith, well, probably none of the things you take on faith are true. If they happen to be true, you got lucky, not because you did any reasoning to get there. So faith is just an unreliable way to determine truth, because anything can be taken on faith. Anything. I can literally make any claim I want, take it on faith, and you just have to accept that it's true. That's not a good way to determine truth. So I if I'm going to believe in a God, especially a God, because let's face it, there's a lot more consequences to believing in your God, Jehovah, from the Bible than, believing that there's a Care Bear in the sky, or that you have $100 in your wallet or whatever. I mean, telling me that there's a God that's going to punish me for eternity if I don't believe, that's huge. So there are consequences to this, to these kinds of beliefs. So we are here to help unravel that faith, that belief, so that you can actually have a free mind, not only to determine for yourself finally whether faith is a reliable method to determine truth, but also maybe to see clearly for the first time, maybe ever, or at least in a long time, and start determining things that are testable. Because if you can't test something, how can you know if it exists? You just can't. But that would be my long-winded answer. Elliot, do you want to give another one that's maybe shorter-winded?
Yeah. Why do we do what we do? Why do we try to deconvert people? For two reasons. One, we have an experience in Christianity, and it did a lot of damage to us. And we believe that Christianity is doing damage to other people, as well as the world, including the political spectrum, our government, our society at large. And the second reason is it's fairness. There is a church on every fucking corner. There are dozens of cable channels that pump out religious nonsense 24/7. Our culture is drowning in fucking religion, and specifically Christianity. We have a very little fragment of your attention here on a YouTube channel with a small number of subscribers. Why shouldn't we do what we do? Why shouldn't we? It's fairness. If there's truth out there to be found, and you think you found it, and we think you haven't, then maybe you should hear us out before you make some kind of judgment on what the truth is. We're just providing an alternative point of view. And it's fun.
especially when we have people preaching us. It's a great time. We love learning about demons and October 5th events. All right. So everybody, if you are interested, we have a Facebook group called Deconversion Nation. We would love for you to join us. It's a newer group. So when you jump in there, you might be like, this isn't a nation. It will be someday, promise. So jump in there. It's a great opportunity for you to engage with both theists and atheists. It's kind of the reverse of going to church. You go to church, right? Christian church. And the whole idea is you listen to the person talk to you and you ask questions and you learn. Our group is the opposite. As a theist, you come in and it gives you the opportunity to dialogue with us and ask questions and learn. We're not there for you to reconvert. You're there to learn and ask questions of us. So it gives you a safe space to do that. And especially if you're having questions and unsure, no, it's a private group, so nobody will know you're there. It's a great chance for you to get in there, get your questions answered, and get answers from atheists and also other people. Whatever you're going to get, you're going to get. But it's a great conversation place. It's a good time. So come join us on Deconversion Nation on Facebook. Also, don't forget the new episodes of Unravelation drop every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Unraveler channel. So make sure you go check that out. The links are in the info below for the Unraveler show. So go and subscribe so you can make sure that you get them. And that's about it. Clyde, John, any last thoughts for us?
Great
I'll see you
conversation,
guys next time. I'll join in the group on Facebook, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for allowing me to be part of the conversation today.
Absolutely. Loved having you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Feel free to stick around or take off. And otherwise, we'll see you next week or whenever. All right, everybody. Everybody has their own version of Christianity. We're here to unravel your conversion. We'll see you next week, 5 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, tonight on Skeptic Haven, 7:30 Central, is the Thought Experiments. Good night, everybody.